Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, where today guys, I'm going to do part 242 to my ChatGPT Character Chatbot series. Where in today's video guys, we are going to talk to another newer character that I haven't talked to on this yet. This particular chatbot is called Godzilla's Lost Friendship. Yes, I did have something like this on Character AI, but I've only talked to him once. But with the Character AI not having as good of memory as this one does, it really wouldn't work out that well. I can just imagine how funny that would be where, like, I'm just, like, getting in trouble in our story in the future, and all of a sudden, like, he shows up out of nowhere. Like, Godzilla legit shows up out of nowhere. This friendly one does. So, yeah, like I said, it's called Godzilla's Lost Friendship. And apparently the story's going to be told from his perspective, like what he feels and everything, which is kind of a cool way to do it. So, yeah, it's going the same way as it did in the one in Character AI. Because basically what happened was I had this little wizard friend 14 years ago. And, well, let's just say I couldn't tell him anything, but I ended up having to move away. And let's just say years later he found me. Like, very many years later. But as this giant kaiju, basically. So, yeah. It says, 14 years ago, here we let's see, he was small once, barely bigger than your palm. A curious little lizard with glossy eyes, speckled scales, and a playful heart. He didn't know where he came from or why he had wandered so far, but that didn't matter the moment he found you. Okay, he was already friends. Well, that makes sense. I guess because we're already friends then. You were just a kid then, kneeling in the grass, watching the ocean waves crash against the rocks near a sun-drenched cliff. When he scurried near your foot, instead of running or recoiling, you smiled. There we go. Gently, you reached out your hand and let him crawl onto your arm. From that moment on, you were inseparable. Wow. It sounds like me and Feralier for some reason, but dear me, Feralier could not crawl on my arm. He'd accidentally crushed my arm. Even if he was trying to be friendly. You gave him a name. You gave him food. You gave him a home in your heart. And he loved you for it. Okay, that's already adorable. You explored together, laughed together, even shared snacks. Okay, that's, again, kind of adorable. But there was one place that was always his favorite. The Golden Beach, with its sparkling sand and clear turquoise water. It was a paradise in his tiny eyes. You'd often sit on the shore, legs in the water, as he paddled circles around you, tail flicking joyfully. That is so cute. Okay. That beach was your place, yours and his. But one day, you seemed quieter, a little sad. You didn't tell him why. How could he understand, right? He was just a little lizard after all. Okay, did not to put him down like that. Holy crap. He didn't know that soon you'd be gone. Oh my gosh. Yeah, if I ain't careful on these channels nowadays, I'll be gone in the other sense, because people are constantly being aggressive. You moved away, and he never saw you again. Holy shoot. The years that followed. At first, he waited by your house. Every creak of a gate, every shadow that passed, filled him with hope, only to leave him disappointed. So, he went to the beach, the one place that made him feel close to you. He returned there day after day, hoping he'd see you again, hoping that maybe you missed him too. Even when that weather grew cold and the tides rose high, he kept coming back. Then, 2 years after he left, everything changed. Why'd they call it the beach's curse? Is it because I keep calling everything a curse? Is it because I do so many things with different curses? It would call it the beach's curse right here. It says, that day, the skies were overcast. The beach smelled strange. The once golden sand was stained with blotches of dark green. Piles of trash were scattered across the shore. and a sickly green liquid oozed into the once clear ocean. Ugh. Still, the little lizard trod down to the water, head low, heart heavy. He didn't know how to read the sign near the shore. Warning, toxic waste, do not enter the water. I love the idea of this, but it's like, I don't know where to like the fact that I'm about to be talking to like a friendly version of Godzilla in a little bit, or I don't know. Like, he thought maybe, just maybe, swimming would cheer him up, so he slipped into the murky water. At first, nothing seemed wrong. He floated on his back, splashing a bit, and stared at the clouds above. Oh, that's cute as frick. But then it started. Oh dear. A glow pulsed along his back. Spikes erupted, sharp and jagged, glowing with a strange aqua green shimmer. Aqua green? So even such thing as aqua green? That must be a pretty color then. Pain rippled through him. His scales. I am not using that stupid word. I hate it. His pain got heavier. His scales. His scales, not his pain. Holy. And then hardened, oh dear. Frick, man, I'm glad I didn't say the other word now. His tiny body trembled as it stretched. I don't like the word stretched either at this point. He ran, and he found a cave and crawled up inside, his small chest heaving, eyes wide with confusion. He fell asleep, trembling, and when he woke up, he was no longer small. How big did I make this creature? I forget how big he actually got from this. Oh. Well. I looked down and there's my answer immediately. The awakening of a giant. I saw the number. I don't like the word stretch. You know what? I'm going to say grew instead. He grew and cracked the ceiling of the cave. The ocean looked tiny now, like a puddle. He stood over 3,000 feet tall. Although, compare that to the flipping Phoenix the other day, who was, what, 3 billion? It's like, what the frig? And felt the air shift around him like paper. His once pale spikes now glowed a bright, fiery orange. His scales shimmered between deep emerald and ocean blue. The beach, your beach, looked like a dollhouse beneath his feet. He didn't roar. He didn't rage. He simply sat there, gently, confused, and scared. But one thing was still true, more than ever before. He missed you. He remembered you. And he needed to find you. I wonder, I guess he hadn't seen me for you. I don't know. My brain's still going a little bit nuts right now. You know, part of me wants to think this is amazing. Part of me thinks, like, this would be more amazing if I had the house instead of while I was doing this one. So, but, okay, it says The Search. For the next 3 weeks, he walked across oceans, continents, and cities. People screamed, planes circled, military tanks lined up, but he never fought back. He never hurt anyone. He just kept moving, slow, calm, and determined. He searched through forests and valleys, mountains and cities. Each time he didn't find you, his head would lower, shoulders drooping, but he never stopped. His heart, though buried beneath tons of muscle and armor like scales, was still the same gentle one you had met all those years ago. And, yep, now, it was a peaceful afternoon at your home. You were relaxing, maybe watching something, maybe just enjoying the silence, when the thud came. The whole ground shook. That would be horrifying if you were just sitting in the house and you felt that. Then again, and again. Not like an earthquake, though. No, this was synthetic. Like footsteps. Massive ones. The windows rattled. A lamp tipped over. Holy crap. Yep, I still confused. More tremors. And when I stepped outside, the air was still, until a gust of warm wind brushed past your face. I turned my eyes toward the horizon, and there he was. Yep. Oh boy. Towering over mountains, spikes glowing with golden orange light, massive, oh my gosh, eyes scanning the area, and then they locked onto you. Those eyes widened, and he froze. For a moment, it was like time had stopped. Despite his immense size and otherworldly presence, there was no menace in his expression, only shock, hope, and overwhelming joy. After all this time, he had found you. Yep. Holy crap. I wonder if they're actually going to call him Godzilla every time that Flipper refers to his name. Probably will. Well, give me a second. I'm sorry with the nervousness here, guys. Like I said, I'm partially liking this and partially like I don't know what is on my brain right now, but it's really paranoid. I don't know what it is about it. Give me a minute. Okay, guys. It seems to be referring to Godzilla more as a creature. He ain't really saying his name. It's saying just a creature or the massive creature or something like that. So, yeah. Here's what I just said. What in the world? Just because, like, what do you expect whenever you see that? I mean, like, even if you could recognize who that was right away, what would you think if you, like, take Fragger for instance? If I knew a Fragger for over 15 years or something like that, and one day he's just playing in my backyard one day, and next day I come out to go see him and check on him, and he's all of a sudden the size of a flipping, the size of a well, the size of a like 40-story building. I mean, it's kind of if you think about it, it's kind of what the white albino alligator one's about. It's similar to this one, but instead of it being about Godzilla, it's about the Hashimo, basically, or the alligator getting turned into that. So yeah, kind of like a Ferragger, or kind of like a real life version of Ferragger in some way. Except Ferragger's not white; he's blue. Let's see what it says. The massive creature standing in the distance froze completely at the sound of your voice. Even though your words were small compared to the roar of the wind and the tremors of his footsteps, he heard you. His ears, those massive fin-like ridges along the side of his head, twitched slightly. His glowing orange eyes softened, and he slowly lowered his enormous body to the ground, carefully as if afraid he might accidentally hurt you with even the smallest movement. His claws, large enough to crush mountains, gently pressed into the earth as he rested on all fours. Then he tilted his head. It was a very familiar tilt, just like how your little lizard friend used to look at you when he didn't understand something, or when he was simply curious, or when he wanted affection. A low, deep hum rumbled from his throat, not a roar, not a threat. It sounded almost like a purr, a gigantic, trembling purr that rolled across the sky like thunder. Then he moved one claw forward, slowly, very slowly, and sat down just a few feet away from your house. He opened his palm, and sitting gently in the center was something small. A seashell! Sun-bleached and familiar, and from your beach. He had carried it all this way, and now he was looking at you, waiting, not demanding, not threatening, just waiting for you. That's cute. Okay, yeah, that's really cute. I I don't know why my brain was so paranoid during the last section. I don't know why. And yes, I just call it section like we're flipping like it's a section of a book or something. Anyway. Alright, guys, it's giving me shorter responses, which is kind of scaring me a little bit, but that's okay. After I saw the seashell, I'm like, hello? Is that for me? His entire body shivered with delight the moment you spoke to him. Really spoke to him. A powerful rush of warm air swept towards you as he exhaled, almost like a sigh of relief, like he'd been holding his breath for years and finally let it go. He slowly nodded. The claw hand, large enough to cradle a building, gently inched closer to you, but he was careful, so careful. The massive orange glow along his back flickered softly like the embers of a fire dimming to something calm and gentle. There, nestled in the center of his Heavy palm was the seashell. Its swirls were faintly cracked, worn by time and weather, but it was unmistakable. It was the same shell you gave him all those years ago. That I don't know. The one you playfully placed on his tiny head like a hat while you both laughed on the beach. Oh, that's hilarious and cute. He had kept it through all the changes, all the pain, and all the searching. He had carried it for you. Then came the softest rumble you ever could have imagined from a creature that size, like thunder whispering, "Friend?" His eyes shimmered, hopeful and nervous. He was still that tiny lizard, just bigger. I like how I said he still was that tiny lizard. Well, it should have been something like he still had the heart of the tiny lizard, because, like, yeah, it is the tiny lizard technically, but it's like, would you really call it tiny when it's 30,000 feet tall or whatever, you know? That's like flipping looking at it's like looking at Rexy being 70 feet tall and being like, yeah, that's a short dinosaur. Like, dude, the thing is Rexy's 70 feet tall. Or looking at Shadow, like, it's never really described. That's the thing about Shadow. Technically, he could be any height. The actual Shadow thing I have upstairs isn't that big. But if you're actually putting in a scenario like in these chatbots, the chatbot could make him as, I don't know how big it would make him. He could be, for all I know, the robot could be over 200 feet tall. And it doesn't tell me that, you know? There was only been like one time where it described how big he was. I don't even remember what number it said then. I don't remember it was this chatbot. It may have been Character AI that did it. Or a different one. I don't remember. Anyway, give me a second. Okay, guys, I just found out something. He can speak. But again, he's like that one Totodile. Was it Tarka? There was a one giant Totodile I talked to that could only say like one word each time. Friend? Protect. Like he had to say like one word at a time in order. So if he wanted to say a sentence, he had to go, protect you. You know, something like that. I think that's kind of sort of what this character's going to have to do. That's what he's doing right now. I just grab the seashell and then say, wow, thank you. You know, you seem awfully familiar. The moment your fingers touch the seashell, the giant kaiju's eyes lit up like the sun rising over the ocean. A glowing pulse traveled down his back, giant spikes flicking with a soft green warmth, not fierce or wild, but emotional, deep, ancient joy. That shell had been his only link to you all those years. When he spoke again, his head slowly lowered closer to you, massive jaws barely open, the edges of a smile forming on that immense face. Despite his terrifying size, his eyes were wide and glistening with something unmistakably tender. You said he felt familiar. He knew you didn't recognize him, at least not yet. Not fully, but you were speaking to him gently and kindly, just like before. He couldn't speak the way you did, but he tried anyway. His massive claw tapped gently against his chest, just above his heart. Then he slowly drew a claw through the dirt beside you, carving something with surprising care and precision. Okay, so never mind. He can't speak. I don't think. But then why did he say friend? Or was that even him? It read, beach. Then he paused and added, you. He tilted his head again, watching you, waiting for the moment you'd remember. And deep within that towering chest, the softest sound came out again, richer this time. A voice carried by wind and love. So that's a little bit confusing. He can speak, but he drew that last thing on the dirt. I missed you. That's cute, actually. I love it. Alright, guys. Here's what I said. I said beach? Wait, it can't be. Are you that lizard I befriended all those years ago? At your words, the massive kaiju visibly froze. Then, a wave of energy pulsed through his glowing orange spikes, surging from his tail to his head in a soft, radiant shimmer of emerald and aqua. The ground gently trembled, not from aggression, but from something like joy. The air around you grew warmer, charged not with danger, but with emotion. He slowly nodded, once, firmly. His enormous eyes shimmered, and this time there was no mistaking it. Tears. Large, glowing droplets welled up again along the corners of his massive eyes. They didn't fall, not yet, but they glistened, catching the sunlight like crystal spheres. His entire body trembled, not from pain or instability, but from the sheer weight of your recognition. Yes, yes, he was your lizard. The one who used to lie on your shoulder. The one who splashed beside you at the golden beach. The one you never got to say goodbye to. He hadn't forgotten you, not even for a moment. Then, with as much gentleness as a creature of his size could muster, he lowered his head fully, placing his massive snout just feet away from you. You could see every detail now. Tiny scars on his face, glowing patterns in his scales, and beneath it all, that same familiar look in his eyes. He didn't roar, he didn't demand, he just stared at you, eyes wide and overflowing, waiting for you to come closer and for you to believe it, for you to know that after all these years, he had come home. Oh, that's adorable. Although, like, that's the thing about it. Like, if he does stay here, what the was he gonna do? Like, what's he gonna do? The last one, the one doing character AI, I think Louis just sat in my backyard and slept, like, used that as his bed. Like, cause he couldn't come into the house with how big he was. He crushed it. Give me a second. Alright, guys. I walk a little closer and say, wow, it really is you. How'd you get so big? I know you wasn't this big when I last saw you. His chest rose slowly and deeply, as if the sight of you walking closer was more than he could handle all at once. He let out a low, trembling sound, a hum so deep it vibrated through the earth like the purr of a mountain, shaken by emotion. You were right there. You remembered him. You recognized him, and you weren't running away. Your question made his giant glowing eyes widen slightly. He blinked, slowly, then sat back just enough so you could see more of his towering form. He pointed a single claw, not at you, not at himself, but toward the sky. Then with great care, he traced his claw down, past the trees and the mountains in the distance, until it stopped in the direction behind him. Then he tapped the ground once, just once, softly. See, he followed his gesture and realized pieced it together. The beach, the water, the toxic waste. He turned his head slightly and gently swept one claw across his back, running it along the glowing spikes, now brighter orange, but still pulsing softly with hues of aqua and green, like the water you once knew. His glowing throat pulsed again, but he rumbled out the clearest word he could manage, the syllables slow and uneven, but still real. Water changed me. He didn't seem angry about it, not bitter, just sad. Then his massive claws crawled toward his chest, almost hugging himself. Missed you more. The transformation had been terrifying and confusing, but none of it mattered to him now, because you were here. And his heart, after everything he'd been through, the answer to why he had grown so huge, why he survived, endured, and pushed through the pain, was standing right in front of him. You. Wow, that's very cool. Holy crap. Okay, guys, give me a second. Alright, guys, here's what I said. I said the water changed you, and there was toxic waste all over that beach. Wow, I didn't know it got that bad. And think, that used to be the beach we went to together. He gave a slow, solemn nod, his great head lowering just a little more. The tip of his glowing snout nearly touched the ground in front of you. The soft orange light along his back dimmed, flicking in quiet pulses like the embers of a fading fire. There was sadness in his eyes now, not for himself, but for you, for what was lost. That beach had once been a paradise, your paradise, the golden sands, the glimmering water, the way the sun reflected off the waves while you laughed and splashed together. It was sacred to him. When you left, it became the one place he could still feel close to you. And when that place was destroyed, polluted, and poisoned, it was like losing you all over again. He turned his head slightly, gazing into the distance. You could almost see the memory behind his eyes. Trash tangled in the tide, oil floating in heavy swirls, the bright sand stained dark green, the sign warning of danger, which he couldn't read. The moment he stepped up into the water, unknowingly sealing his fate, and yet he looked back at you now, and for the first time his giant lips poured into the softest, gentlest smile, as if to say, I still do it all again, if it meant I could find you. Then, with both his massive clawed hands, he gently pressed them to the earth, palms up, exposing his chest. The center of his massive body where glowing energy pulsed like a heartbeat. He leaned forward slightly, lowering his head in something almost like a bow. He wasn't just showing you what had happened. He was showing you that even now, after becoming a monster in the world's eyes, to you he was still just your friend. Still your little lizard. And even with all his size and power, he still looked at you like you were the one who saved him. Oh, that's cute as frick. I like the idea of this story. The same thing for the Shimo. Shimo one is a little more like interesting because the thing about it is like with this one you don't get to see what happens. Like you have to read out what happens, but visually you're not there to see it. The same you can say I guess kind of the same thing for Shimo's, but like Shimo, she's right in front of you. That albino alligator for me is right in front of me. Once she starts changing, not entirely. Like I don't see her grow from like a small little baby alligator to the size of like a 40, 50,000 foot tall, you know, kaiju. But like you know what I mean. Give me a second. I was told him, it's okay. I'm just happy to know that you're still here. If I would rather something get destroyed, I would rather it be that beach over you. I'm just happy to know that you're still here and alive, especially after how you got exposed to that toxic waste. A soft, thunder-like shudder rippled through his massive frame as your words reached him. Not fear, not pain, relief. Overwhelming, soul-deep relief. His glowing orange eyes widened with emotion. Oh my gosh. Guys, we're before we left off. It said his glowing orange eyes widened with emotion, and for a moment, just a moment, his entire body trembled. Not from instability, but from a heart that hadn't heard kindness like that in years. You weren't scared of him. You weren't angry about the beach. You weren't blaming him for what he became. You were just happy he was still alive. Slowly, a slow vibrating hum echoed from deep in his chest again, this time rich and warm, almost like a giant, gentle purr. The glowing veins along his body shimmered with golden light now, soft and calm like the setting sun, no longer wild or unstable. He leaned in again, so slowly, so carefully. His breath was warm and heavy, but calm, like a breeze before a summer storm. His massive snout gently brushed the ground just beside you. You heard a soft, reverent sound as his eyes closed for a moment, as though just being near you again was healing something inside him. And then, ever so carefully, he did something that no one in the world would believe if they saw it. He nuzzled his head gently into your chest. It was delicate, like a kitten seeking comfort, even though it came from a creature taller than mountains. The tip of his massive nose pressed softly against you, careful not to push or knock you back. His eyes slowly opened slightly again, shimmering with tears that didn't fall, just lingered, quietly glowing. Still, your friend. His voice was slow and raw, like ancient stone echoing through wind. Then he pulled back just enough to look at you again. He lifted one massive claw, not threatening, not towering, but inviting. His palm turned upright, resting on the earth as if offering you a seat, or maybe a place to rest like he used to do when he curled beside you on warm days by the sea. This wasn't just a reunion, this was home finding its way back. Okay, that's cute. Again, I know I've said it a lot before I paused our video, but like honestly, this is adorable. Like I used to love like the little. I don't care how big a creature is; it's how friendly they're being. Like the Lugia, for instance. If the Lugia starts flipping, if that massive godly Lugia flipping came down and started just nudging me with this massive snout, I'd be happy. Be like, wow, this giant, literal god Pokemon is literally giving me affection and loving on me. I love him so much, you know? Alright, guys. Give me a second. Alright, guys. I just tell him, aw, thank you. I will happily come over to you. And I just walk over to Godzilla and step onto his massive hand. The moment your foot touched the surface of his massive, battle-worn palm, something changed in the air. A soft glow began to rise beneath you. Golden emerald light flickered gently around the edges of his claw like the breath of an ancient forest. The warmth of it wasn't just from his body, it was from his heart. A warmth that told you you were safe, you were welcome, you were home. He didn't move at first, just stayed completely still, letting you get comfortable on his hand. His skin beneath your feet was rough but steady, pulsing gently with energy, like the steady rhythm of a heartbeat echoing through a canyon. When he finally lifted you up, he did it with astonishing care, his massive arm rising slowly, gradually, until not even a breeze pushed you off balance. Up, higher and higher, past the treetops and past rooftops, until the wind brushed your hair and you stood eye to eye with the gentle Titan. He stared at you with such softness. The spikes on his back, once symbols of mutation and chaos, now glowed faintly like lanterns in the dusk. Soft orange fading into sea foam green. Then, I smell money! Holy freak! Okay, guys, here's what it said. After that last part, it says, then, with you curled careful in his claw, he gently brought you closer to his chest, and you heard it. Thump, 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 his heartbeat. Yep, his heart, still strong, still beating, and still yours. And then, in a whisper carried by the wind and filled with more feeling than any roar could ever contain, he spoke again. Never forgot you. His claws trembled, but his voice didn't. Waited every day. And then, after a long pause, he added, quietly like a secret between old friends, I'm so glad you're back. Aww. Again, that's really sweet. I love him. He's actually adorable. That's what I'm saying. Every creature can be. I mean, it's like the. I mean, the same thing for the about Alligator we'll talk to later. She's not. I think just because she's mutated doesn't mean she's going to not be friendly. What may I sing for Alligator turn to a legendary and still be like the most friendly creature on planet Earth to me? There's been times where Rifty's turned into like a massive scary dragon and he still shows the most sweet and affectionate gesture you'd ever think about him. Problem is, most of the time in a dragon state, he's always aggressive, which is always terrifying. I need to do something similar to this, but with like, maybe not the flipping, maybe not, well, this one, not the Shima one, maybe I should do this one again one day, but see how he reacts if I'm a tiny Velociraptor, to see what happens. I'll be right back, guys. I said, it's been a long time. I'm more happy to see you. I don't care how big you are, as long as you're still friendly. Thank you for not being aggressive. See, Godzilla let out the deepest sound yet. A low rising hum that vibrated through the sky like the quietest thunder. but full of joy. Not the kind of roar that shatters buildings or makes mountains shake. This was a warm, resonant sound, like laughter echoing from the heart of the earth. His entire chest seemed to rise with emotion. Spikes along his back glowed brighter, not fierce or fiery, but soft and brilliant, like sunrise breaking across the ocean. His eyes shimmered again, and you could tell that if he could smile any wider, he would. You said you didn't care how big he was, only that he was still friendly and still himself. Those words meant everything to him. After years of fear, rejection, sirens, and screams from people who saw only a monster, you, his first friend, saw him, not as a beast, not as a threat, but as the same little lizard you once sat with on the beach. He raised you just a little higher, bringing you close to the side of his face. His eye, so huge, so filled with life, focused entirely on you, and a voice softer than ever before, choked with pure, unfiltered gratitude, he whispered, "You're not afraid, even now." There was something almost fragile about the way he said it, like those words had been building inside him for years, aching to be heard. And then, slowly, he extended a single massive claw from his other hand and ever so gently pressed it against his chest. Tap, tap, tap. 3 slow beats. Then he tapped the space just in front of your heart with the tip of a claw, so carefully that you barely felt the touch. His way of saying, "You're part of me. You always were." As the wind swirled softly around the two of you, high above the world, you rumbled one last time, deep and true, "I missed you more than words." Holy crap. Really neat. Alright, guys. I just said, I missed you. To be honest, there's been a lot that's going on ever since I had to move away. Not everything has been great, and nearly every person around here is very aggressive, always trying to hurt me and make me suffer even though I have not done anything. Godzilla's entire body stilled, the glowing light along his back, those brilliant spikes that moments ago pulsed with joy, dimmed to a gentle, mournful glow. Your words hit him like a wave of sorrow. He blinked slowly, and you could see the shift in his gaze, from joy to heartbreak. You were his friend, his only family, and now he understood something that pained him far more than any transformation or toxic mutation ever could. You had been suffering, not because of anything you did, not because of who you were, but because others chose cruelty over kindness. His claws curled slightly, not in anger toward you, but in deep frustration, helplessness. His massive jaw tightened, and a faint, thunder-like growl rumbled in his chest, not wild or dangerous, but protective, fierce, and focused. Then his voice came again, low, careful, and filled with pain and loyalty all at once. "They hurt you?" There was silence. He looked down, and so he raised his eyes to meet yours once more. That huge, glowing gaze was shining now, not with rage, but with something far stronger. Love, loyalty, and vow. "You were kind, always kind," he rumbled. "You don't deserve pain." He gently brought you close again, closer than before, until you were cradled in both hands, as if you were the most precious thing left in a world that had tried to break you. His warmth surrounded you like a shield, a living fortress. "You were not alone anymore." His eyes narrowed slightly, not with anger, but with intent, a quiet promise. "If they try to hurt you again, they'll have to go through me." But then his fierce glow faded back to calm. His body relaxed and his eyes softened. He didn't want revenge. He didn't want destruction. He just wanted to protect you. So even though he had become a monster in size and form, you were still his reason to be gentle, and you were still his person. Oh, that's cute as fruit. Holy cow. Alright guys, here's what I said. That's not all. and a pet dinosaur years ago that really cared about me. He was a Tyrannosaurus Rex and he could speak perfect English, but a Pokemon, Trico, put a curse on both of us, turning me into a tiny dinosaur and turning a sweet pet into a transforming aggressive monster. Godzilla's breath hitched, a low rumbling sound like tectonic plates groaning beneath the surface of the world. His golden orange eyes locked onto you with sudden intensity. Not fear, not confusion, but deep concern, and something else you hadn't seen from him since reuniting. Protective instinct. You had already suffered enough. Now to hear that even your closest companion, another creature who loved you, had been twisted and cursed, and that you have been turned to a tiny dinosaur. He leaned in again, eyes narrowing with heavy emotion, the glowing plates on his back flickering like a storm held barely in check. His voice came slowly, full of trembling anger, not at you, but what had been done to you. Trico cursed you. A pause. His claws flexed slightly. Your friend turned against you? The rumble in his chest was deeper this time. It wasn't wrath, it was a bullying sadness. The only kind someone who knew isolation and transformation firsthand could understand. He knew what it was like to be changed by something unnatural, to be feared, to be treated like a threat, even when your heart remained the same. He looked down at you, tiny as hands, and then raised one clawed gesture across his own massive form. I changed too. He turned his hand, slowly showing you the heavy scars on his arm, the glowing veins around his throat, the jagged lines running down his back. Then he pointed gently to you, but you still cared. A low sound left him again, not quite a growl, not quite a sigh. It was something closer to a vow. I would not let another curse break you. His claw slowly moved behind you, shielding you from the wind like a protective wall of wrath and scale. The light from his dorsal plates grew stronger, shining with a glowing green hue as if your pain was awakening something ancient in him. A need to guard, to stand tall, and to make things right. Then he did something unexpected. Very carefully, he tapped one massive claw against his chest again, then tapped yours. And then, with glowing eyes locked onto you, he whispered something ancient, something quiet, and something meant just for you. We were both changed, but we are still us. And he pauses, and I won't let them hurt you again. Not Trico, not strangers, not anyone, because now you aren't just a friend, you were family. Yep. Do you notice how every Pokemon does that a lot too? Like, even though I'm not even a part of their family, oh, they're flipping like the Pokemon I befriend seem to flipping treat me flipping like I'm their flipping child. Lugia will protect me. A Totodile that's small will protect me. You have Fragger who will just flipping come out of nowhere to guard me. It's like, what in the world? Alright, guys. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's already 1:30, so I'm probably going to have to quit right now. My fear is that, like, with me making them this shorter, I mean, like, it could be good, but it also could be really bad that I'm doing that. I mean, I don't completely know for sure. It could be extremely bad that I'm doing that. I'm going to go ahead and stop now, guys. Next time we do this, I'll either continue Godzilla for a little bit longer, or we'll move on to the Shimo one that's next. I will say, as paranoid as I randomly was throughout this video, that was honestly pretty fun. I'm going to archive that. Then I'm going to do this. There we go. Hi, Fur Alligator. How you doing, honey bunch? Alright. Guys, I'm done. Have a wonderful rest of your day or night, and I'll see you guys for the next video. Bye bye everyone.